Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am so excited for today's guest. She is a literal pioneer, a double Nobel Prize winner, and someone who changed the face of science forever. For those who may somehow not know who are you?
Hello, Calvin. My name is Marie Skłodowska-Curie. I am a physicist and chemist, best known for my work on radioactivity and for discovering the elements polonium and radium.
It's truly an honor. Let's start at the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on November 7, 1867, in Warsaw, which was then part of the Kingdom of Poland within the Russian Empire.
And what was your given name at birth?
My given name was Maria Salomea Skłodowska.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
It was a traditional name in my family. Maria is quite common, of course, and Salomea was the name of my grandmother. In my family, though, I was often called by my nickname, Manya.
What was your hometown of Warsaw like growing up?
Warsaw was a city of great intellectual spirit, but also great tension. Under Russian rule, our Polish culture and language were suppressed. We had to be very careful, especially in school, to hide our Polish studies. It made us very resilient and gave us a deep thirst for freedom and knowledge.
What was your family life like?
I was the youngest of 5 children. Both of my parents were teachers. My father taught mathematics and physics, and my mother was the headmistress of a girls' school. Our home was filled with books and scientific instruments. Though we struggled financially after my father lost his job, the love of learning was our true wealth.
What kind of kid were you?
I was very studious and had a remarkable memory. I was often the top of my class. I was also very determined, perhaps a bit stubborn. I loved to lose myself in a book for hours, completely ignoring everything happening around me.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
My greatest fear was the loss of my loved ones. I lost my eldest sister to typhus and my mother to tuberculosis when I was very young. These losses were very difficult, but they also made me realize how precious life is and how important it is to work toward things that can help others.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
I dreamed of being a scientist, like my father. I wanted to understand how the world worked. In Poland at the time, women weren't allowed to attend university, so I dreamed of going to Paris to study at the Sorbonne.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
I loved mathematics and physics, naturally, but I also enjoyed literature and languages. Learning was like a game to me. I wanted to master every subject I could find.
What was your first job?
To save money for my sister's medical studies and my own eventual move to Paris, I worked as a governess for several years. It was hard work being away from my family, but it allowed me to continue my studies in secret.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I don't know if I felt different, but I felt a pull toward research that others didn't seem to have. While other young women were thinking of marriage and social lives, I was thinking about the properties of magnetic steel or the secrets hidden in pitchblende.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
The decision to join a secret underground flying university in Warsaw. It was a risky way to learn, but it kept my intellectual fire alive and gave me the foundation I needed before I finally left for Paris.
What was your biggest break?
Meeting Pierre Curie. Not only was he the love of my life, but he was my greatest scientific partner. When we began working together, our combined curiosity led us to the discoveries that defined our careers.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Poverty was a constant companion when I first moved to Paris. I lived in a tiny attic room, often surviving on just bread and tea. I would study until I fainted from hunger, but I didn't mind. I was finally at the Sorbonne.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. The pursuit of truth through science was too important. Even when our laboratory was nothing more than a leaky cold shed, the excitement of seeing our samples glow in the dark kept us going.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel were essential to your success?
Persistence and focus. I could spend years on a single task, like refining tons of pitch blende to find just a tiny fraction of radium. I believed in constant work. What job would you have had if fame never happened? I would have been a simple teacher in a village school, likely in Poland, sharing the love of science with children.
What was your life like before fame?
It was quiet and very simple. Pierre and I lived for our research. We spent our days in the lab and our evenings talking about science. We didn't care for social events or titles. We just wanted to work.
How did relationships change after success?
It became complicated. People we didn't know wanted our time and attention. However, it also allowed me to meet other brilliant minds, like Albert Einstein, who became a dear friend.
Did fame bring happiness?
To be honest, I found fame quite burdensome. It took time away from the laboratory. Happiness for me was always found in a successful experiment or a quiet moment with my daughters.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The lack of privacy. The press could be very unkind, especially to a woman in a field dominated by men. They focused more on my personal life than my scientific achievements at times.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
Some thought I was cold or overly serious. While I was very dedicated to my work, I loved my family deeply. I enjoyed cycling through the countryside and spending time in nature.
What was your darkest moment?
The sudden loss of Pierre in 1906. He was my soulmate and my partner. Losing him left a void that never truly filled, but I knew I had to continue our work for the sake of science and our children.
What past regrets did you carry?
I often wished I could have done more for my home country of Poland. I named the first element I discovered, polonium, after my homeland to draw attention to its struggle for independence.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
That I did the work for the awards. I actually refused to patent our methods for isolating radium because I believe science should belong to everyone and be used to help people, especially in medicine.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
During the Great War, I realized that X-ray technology could save lives on the front lines, but there was no way to get the equipment to the soldiers. I created little Curies, mobile X-ray units. I had to learn to drive, learn mechanics, and even sell my Nobel medals to fund it. I just kept pushing until the units were in the field.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It gave me the resources to build the Radium Institute, which was my dream. But personally, no. I still lived simply and wore the same black laboratory dress for years.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My father for instilling the love of physics, and Pierre for showing me what two minds working in harmony can achieve.
What was life like in your final years?
I was very busy. I traveled to America to raise funds for research and continued to oversee the Radium Institute. I was also very proud to see my daughter Irene following in my footsteps.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was continuing to research the medical applications of radioactive isotopes and managing the institute to ensure the next generation of scientists had the tools they needed.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on July 4, 1934, at the Saint-Célimaz Sanatorium in Passy, France.
What happened?
I passed from aplastic anemia. It was the result of my long-term exposure to radiation. At the time, we didn't fully understand the dangers, but I don't regret a moment of the research.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I loved to garden. Even in the middle of intense research, I found great peace in planting roses and hydrangeas at my home.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
There were rumors during the war that I was a spy because I traveled so much with my mobile units. In reality, I was just trying to get X-ray machines to the doctors.
What was your most unique habit?
I used to carry vials of radioactive isotopes in my pockets. I loved the way they glowed like soft fairy lights in the dark. It was beautiful, even if it was dangerous.
What was your favorite food?
I always enjoyed a simple Polish pierogi. It reminded me of home.
Did you have a favorite book?
I loved the poetry of Adam Mickiewicz. It helped me stay connected to my Polish roots.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Not a rivalry as much as a struggle for respect. Many in the French Academy of Sciences resisted me because I was a woman. I didn't fight them with words. I fought them with results.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
When I went to the United States to receive a gram of radium from President Harding, I was so shy that I asked if we could skip the big ceremony. I just wanted the radium so I could get back to the lab.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
When Pierre and I got married, we didn't want a big wedding. We used the money we received as a wedding gift to buy 2 bicycles. We spent our honeymoon cycling through the French countryside.
Did you ever prank someone?
I wasn't much of a pranker, but I did enjoy the prank of surprising my students with how much physical work I could do in the lab even as I got older.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I didn't really buy things. My most outlandish purchase was likely scientific equipment for the laboratory that I probably couldn't afford at the time.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Be less curious about people and more curious about ideas. Do not fear the unknown. Seek to understand it. Once something is understood, it is no longer feared.
Marie, it has been absolutely incredible having you here. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before signing off?
Only that I hope my story shows that it doesn't matter where you start or what obstacles are in your way. If you have a passion for discovery and the will to work hard, you can change the world. Thank you, Calvin, for this wonderful opportunity to share my life with a new generation.
Thank you so much, Marie. What an inspiration. To think about those mobile X-ray units and the sheer grit it took to isolate radium, it's just mind-blowing. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.